Good afternoon, y'all. Today I'm going to be discussing with you the art of advertising and how companies use mind games to get your business/interest. So first of all, I'm going to give you a quick definition of advertising. So advertising is the activity or profession of producing advertisements for commercial products or services. But in more recent times, this definition is kind of taken on a new meaning just because the advertising sector of the business world is growing largely. And so with numerous different ways to get a consumer's attentions, companies are beginning to adopt new techniques and mind games to get your business. So along with the many different techniques companies have adopted, another approach is a little bit unsettling in my opinion. So Lawrence Cole discusses it here. The ad tracking service offered by Consumer Affinity was introduced this past June. He goes beyond traditional ad tracking and attitude data to collect information about competitive set marketing programs whose effect are perceived by the respondents. The internet knows what you're interested in and provides you with specific ads tailored to your interest. Okay, so now that we know that, let's dive into some of the techniques they use once they know what you're interested in. So the first thing that these companies use is visual tricks. So Mark Andrews says this about visual tricks. A visual trick is happening every time you walk down the beer aisle. Next time you're standing there mulling over a Budweiser or a Dutch Brew, just take a moment to look at the latter's logo. You might not notice it at first, but in comparison with the other letters, the 3 E's in Heineken are slanted slightly backwards. Their bottoms curved, grinning up at you with a toothless smile. There's nothing human about the typeface, but the slightly turned E gives that feeling of a smile. And so this simple trick is being used by beer companies and other companies, because not just beer companies using visual tricks. But I found that one of the more interesting ones that I looked into. So the next thing that I found from Verlard was anthropomorphism. And so this advertising I kind of found the most interesting out of all the ones that I researched, just because I knew what it was, first of all. You'll know what it is once I tell you, but anthropomorphism is just kind of a big word. So anthropomorphism is turning an inanimate object into something that can walk, talk, or sing. Just something that it normally could not do. So it made me think of like the peanut M&M commercials. And now every time I watch peanut M&M commercial, like no matter what kind of mood I'm in, like it makes me want to go get some peanut M&Ms, and it kind of makes me smile. Like it's a good way to advertise. And so I found it as one of the more effective ways to use a mind game to get your business. So the next way that companies use mind games to get your attention is trustworthiness. So I got this from Stinson. So how trustworthy a person looks. So I didn't even know this, but like, there's like, obviously creepy mustache, that's not a good look, but things like facial width to height ratio, the distance between the two extreme cheekbones and the distance between the upper lip and the eyebrows can cue a person to how trustworthy someone is. So when these companies are looking into getting models or what have you, like they're looking at that kind of stuff to get your attention, which like you would not think about when you're just watching an ad about like, oh yeah, there's their height to width ratio, but it's something that we kind of without doing it on purpose, we kind of notice it, which I found interesting. We also perceive people with wide faces as less trustworthy than those with higher faces, and we also find people with brown eyes versus blue more trustworthy. And so the next thing that advertisements use is a visual path. And so I got this from Verlard as well. So like a focal point, a visual path is a technique that takes the viewer's gaze to a specific element. And so I found this interesting because whenever I'm online, like looking through something and you're kind of following the visual path like on the screen, and it kind of can lead you to an advertisement without even thinking about it. So just kind of a subconscious thing that we do that these companies are using to get their advertisements out there. So once again, mind game or not, I kind of am starting to think they are. And so next I'm going to get into e-cigarette advertisements, which I got from Lancelot Oncology. So on October 3rd, 2018, Philip Morris International, via prominent branding of Ferrari's Formula One racing cars, launched Mission Winnow, a project in which they boldly claim to want to build a better world for men and women who want to smoke, using our scientific and engineering expertise to deliver it. So the promotion of this undertaking as a major corporate responsibility exercise is not only deceptive, but also worrying because it demonstrates the extent to which the tobacco industry aims to shape the scientific evidence to support their commercial strategy of e-cigarettes as harmless smoking. And so we don't, I mean, I guess there's no real evidence. We've heard like a few things here and there about if e-cigarettes are harmful or not. But you just think about this, like out of 100 people that you know, the 50 of them not vape, which I mean, that'd be hard for me. Like, I'm not sure if that's true. And it might be more than 50, honestly, in my opinion. So it just shows you how effective these e-cigarette companies are advertising you to go and start smoking, which is something that we've been trying to get away from for decades at this point. But effective advertising, once again, mind games, effective advertising, you know, who knows? So next is repetition. So this one's pretty simple. Either you have seen the same ad pop up on your Instagram 17 times in a row or whatever. So companies use this to, once again, mind game, get your attention, you're seeing it over and over again. But also this can be one of the easiest ways to be ineffective, because if you see it too many times, you're gonna get pretty annoyed. Like, I've seen this enough, like, please stop. Something like that. But still can be used as an effective way to advertise. So the next thing I got from Verlard is a 3/4 gaze. So the first example can give you a sense of looking into a situation the viewer isn't actually a part of. This technique is common in video. The forward-facing 3/4 gaze is better suited for a static image that wants to transmit a sense of wonder. So I provided an image of this on my PowerPoint, but I didn't even know this, but in Toy Story 3, when they were advertising that, they used a picture of Buzz, and he was doing a 3/4 gaze to advertise that movie when it was first coming out, which, big Toy Story guy, found that interesting that they ployed me with another mind game to get me to get in the theaters and pay money to watch that. So the last thing that I'm going to go over as an advertising technique is point of view. And so when I was looking into this one, obviously point of view is like you're from the point of view that someone's using the product, and you know, you can kind of visualize yourself using it. And so I was thrown through, and I found, before I even started working on this assignment, I saw a GoPro ad. And it was like 5 minutes long, and it was some guy mountain biking on his bike. And I just found it super interesting that, you know, this guy's whipping around his bike, and made me think of all the things I could possibly do with the GoPro. And, you know, subconsciously made me want to go buy it. But lastly, I'm going to get to my conclusion now. Close to running out of time. So the art of advertising and the mind games that companies use to get your interest in business has vastly improved in recent times. Doing this research provided me with a window into some of those techniques that I will now keep in mind as I continue to purchase things, as I hope you will as well. And so Gold says this: it's clear that a major effect is taking place to directly link ad awareness to sales through modeling, and some very sophisticated modeling at that. The success of this depends primarily on how well-founded the models are, how capable the modeler can perform the specific assignment, and the nature of the data itself. So we've all seen that a few bad advertisements in our life that were ineffective at getting our business. So I provided this with the last hope that we're not all screwed. They're not always going to get us. They can't always fool us. But I had a lot of fun researching this. I hope you learned something from it.